Welcome to Hassle-Free RE, the show where we share tips, tricks, and stories from the short-term rental industry and business alike. Hosted by Dave Minapace and Will Van Wickler. They'll help you navigate the exciting and ever-evolving world of short-term rentals. Whether you're a seasoned host or just starting out, they've got something just for you. In each episode, they'll bring you insider insights, expert advice, and real-life stories from hosts and industry professionals who have been through it all. They'll cover everything from maximizing your rental income and profits to creating unforgettable guest experiences and handling unexpected day-to-day challenges with ease. Are you ready to discover the secrets to running a successful short-term rental business without the hassle? Then let's get started. This is Hassle-Free RE.
Hello, and welcome again to another episode of Hassle-Free RE. I'm Dave Minapace, president of the 5-Star Co-Host, as well as Launchpad Consulting, here with New England's #1 short-term rental real estate agents. Pretty soon, just like overall, I'm telling you, 100 million this year, man. We got a 2x last year. How's it going, Mr. Will?
I'm doing great, man. It's good to see you. How are you?
I'm good. I love just dropping these ideas into your head around business growth. Just slowly, just putting it in there. Chew on it later if you want. But no, man, things are good. We're still launching properties up at the Sunday River Market. We have some
Wow.
homeowners that really want to use their homes for the month of January, and they're kind of like, hey, after that, take it over. Let's give this home to guests that want a place to stay and a good, solid spot. So we've been launching homes up at Sunday River. We've been taking on applications for homes in Cape Cod and South Shore, and even some like in the Saco markets. And so it's been really fun. It's been both launching properties, but also really dialing in our revenue management. And I mean, like last night, I think we got close to $30,000 in bookings for different times of the year. It's just like an important time of the year to keep your eye on summer and spring prices. And as we're sort of in the thick of the winter up north, really making sure that's dialed in to pull in occupancy. So it's been busy. We've been renovating our old house, which we're really, really excited about, getting ready to sell that in the spring and unlock some equity there. So things are good. Things are good, man. How are you?
The grind doesn't stop. Good. We just started 2 new flip projects yesterday in Old Orchard Beach, which is great. We've
Yeah.
got a lake house spec we're doing in Norway that's framed up. Just listed a Bethel spec that we're finishing up, and then
Yeah.
putting a bunch of properties under contract for investors. So it's not a slow January, that's for sure.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I know the work that you do in Bethel, and I'm excited because I manage some of those homes that you've sold now, and they do really well. They don't give people problems. It's like they're really great, solid product. I'm excited for you to roll out those condos out in Old Orchard Beach. Those are
Yeah,
some of
that'll
our
be fun.
favorite homes to manage. And I know that's a little different than, our big luxury mansions that we manage, but we have a lot of fun, in Cape Cod, Old Orchard Beach, South Shore, with those just like really fun, not economy, but like really fun smaller spaces that are great for usually a singular family to rent, and they rent really well. They do really well on the income side, and they're a joy to manage. They're really fun. So
Yeah, and they're affordable, and they're gonna be brand new and beautiful, and it's fun to have projects like that. I mean, the new construction's great, but it's like, how can we increase the ceiling height, or how can we add something today that's just gonna be better for rental down the road? I was talking to my plumber
yeah,
the other day about, can we put an outdoor shower in? So just getting creative, it's a lot of fun, so.
love it. I love it. Well, that's great. That's great. And yeah, so we have a pretty exciting guest. We're taking it a little different direction. We're bringing in a service provider today. We have John Levitt. He's the CEO and founder of No Worry Home. And we're going to let him articulate what the service is. It's a service that I use on my own personal home. And I'm really excited because I think what he's offering is, let me take a step back. When homeowners face crisis with their home, it's always because something happened that they didn't expect. And I find a lot of times in the markets that we serve, doing things like preventative maintenance, having a skilled, licensed, technician looking at different elements of the home on a regular basis, be it 2, 4, 5 times a year, doesn't generally happen. You have cleaners in there, you have guests, you have us doing quality checks, but we're not taking a look at every nook and cranny. And what ends up happening is when things go sideways with an amenity or a big system in the home, not only does it cost money to fix, but there's the expense of lost revenue, right? And a lot of these homes are being rented out year around. And John's company, No Worry Home, has found an amazing way to plug that gap, and they have an extra set of eyes on things that really could impact the life and safety of a guest, be it fire, flooding, whatever it might be. So I'm excited to have John on and talk about his journey and the service that he provides. And I think it's going to be a great show.
Yeah, when you told me about this last night, called me and told me about the company, I'm like, it's the best thing ever. We got to get this guy to Maine.
Yeah.
So yeah, without further ado, we'll bring him on.
Let's do it. Mr. John Levitt, welcome.
All right. Hey, Dave. Hey, Will. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh,
thanks for
yes,
coming on.
we're excited to have you. And so let's start with this. I think if you could just talk about what your company does, but then once we do that and we establish it, that'll be a good hook for the audience, so to speak. Let's go back before No Worry Home and just talk about your professional journey, which I think is really cool and interesting, and we'll bring folks up to the current time.
Sounds great, Dave. All right. Well, I'll give the 50,000 foot on No Worry Home. So No Worry Home is a one-stop solution to ensure everything in your home is always working properly and won't suddenly break down from lack of care. And so we're a concierge level total home services company without the concierge price. There have been companies for a long time serving the ultra wealthy, charging them thousands of dollars per month to get this done. We're now offering the same sort of high touch service for people, starting below $1,000 a year. And we're providing year-round coverage, even for people who are not in their homes all the time. So what do we do? So we're typically coming to our customers' homes 4 times a year, although we have programs for 2 times a year as well. And each time we go, we perform preventive maintenance on all the major appliances and systems in your home. So we actually get in, take apart, clean, fix, optimize like every single appliance and system in your house. And while we're there, we also take care of all your handyman tasks, leaky faucet, loose doorknob. My house, the guys come and put screens up that had fallen from the 3rd floor. I'm not going to do that. They clean the dryer vent. They do all that stuff. And then they also do seasonal tasks. So, the hose bibs on or off, lubricate the garage door openers to make sure those don't get stuck, things like that. And then while we're there, every time we undertake a full inside and outside the house inspection, examination to identify issues before they become problems. Like you were mentioning, Dave, you're, out of luck if your house is not operational. And so we're identifying stuff before it happens, so people aren't surprised with a problem that they have to then go rush around to fix.
Yeah.
And we also don't just leave people hanging when we find problems for them. Most of our programs include free consulting. So when we find a problem, we'll actually be able to get online, get on the phone with our customers, help them game plan a solution. So example, the other day we had a Wellesley, Mass homeowner who got 2 roof quotes that were $100,000 apart. And we were sort of an agnostic consultant to help her figure out which is the right one. We interviewed both of the vendors. We identified what the issues were. We looked at the roof. We figured it out. And we helped her make the decision. And she's like, gee, the $2,000 I paid you for the whole year, you don't even have to come back again because you guys already earned it from what you did. So really that's it. It's really like a total home solution for people who either live in their homes and are busy and don't have the time or inclination to do it, or it could be people who are renting out their homes and want to make sure that they are in business 24/7, 365, so they're not losing revenue.
I love it. Just, being a property manager, and you and I got to chat about this a couple months ago. We're like the boots on the ground for when issues arise. I should at least say we're the soundboard. We hear when issues arise, and things that happen all the time, I find, are those tankless hot water heaters stop working, which then could affect the heat in the home. Uh, HVAC systems stop working, right? Like a homeowner buys a home and they're kind of like, well, I just think it works, but these things have to be serviced. Ovens stop working,
Yep.
Just whatever it is. I mean, we see it all the time. And one thing I found really helpful is because again, as I said, I pay for the service as well, and we do the quarterly inspections and everything. And when for our listeners, what's really cool is when they start out, they do like a 5 to 6 hour like full. That's way longer than you're getting when you just do a home inspection to buy a home. And the report that you get looks very, very similar. It's just more helpful because it gives you contractors that you can reach out to for different things, which I found to be super beneficial. But when I bought this home, obviously it had to get the fire certificate.
Mhm.
But the fire certificate, they're not going through and making sure, every single smoke detector isn't near expiration or expired. They're just making sure that things work. Well, we had a situation where oxygen was getting into the hose for the oil in the furnace,
Wow.
and a lot of our unfinished part of the basement started smoking. So we turned it off. The oil company came and they fixed it. What was interesting is the smoke and CO detector never went off in that side of the basement. And that was learning for us. Okay, we got to get more. This one's got to get replaced. It was only a few days later that the team member from No Worry Home came and did that big 6 hour assessment, and it was helpful to like talk through that. So thankfully we were home when all of that was happening, but that could have been a major issue in our home, and it would have never popped up when they go to do the fire cert. You know what I mean? So um i I've been super impressed with the service itself.
I'm so glad, Dave. That's great.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about when you say like appliances, what does it look like when the technician comes and what are they looking for? Kind of a rundown of what you could expect going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I'll start out by saying, I started this business because I'm the target customer. So
Right.
there's a level of
like it.
technology here that I'm not
Right.
going to be able to answer, but at a high
Sure.
level, because I have 2 homes, one on the Cape and one in Brookline, and they service both of them. And and they come the other day. In fact, because I talked about, in addition to what we do, we also, just for our paying homeowner customers, we do in between visit handyman stuff. So
Yeah.
this week, Fix It Frank came to my house, replaced my broken TV, fixed my leaky gutter, charged me $99 for the whole visit. It was great. So
Yeah.
It's so hard to find people to do that stuff.
I
It really,
know,
really
right?
is.
And
Yeah.
we actually do that for our customers at below market rate. So that's really good.
Yeah.
So what do we do? So like an example is they came to my house and they took apart the vent above the stove and looked and like, gee, John, you got a whole bunch of grease in there. And they went and just cleaned the whole thing out for me. And then, with the HVAC system, lots of people know to, replace their filter every quarter or half year, whatever it is. But they go in and they actually take the whole thing apart, have like a really high powered vacuum, clean out all the other stuff that's in there, because just doing the filter is great. It's better than most people do, but it's not really comprehensively keeping that stuff clean and neat and organized. So, and same thing with the fridge, when they're replacing the filter, they're not just doing that, they're taking it apart and they're vacuuming away all the coils to get rid of everything there. So we're doing the kind of things that are above and beyond what homeowners are typically doing, which is extending the life of all of the appliances in their home. But honestly, even more importantly, just it's not going to break down when you least expect it. And then you have to run around, because we all know the cost of remediation is much, much higher than the cost of prevention. And, that's something that our community is learning, I think, but it's not sort of typically what people think about. I think most people historically think about when there's something wrong with your house, you fix it after it goes wrong, as opposed to stopping it from happening. And I think especially for people who are going to have a significant displacement issue, whether it's for them or for their guests, you can't afford to wait for something to go wrong. You got to stop it before it happens. So that's really what we're focused on.
I love that that handyman service too, because one of the hardest things is finding people that you can trust, right? And when you've gone and done a 5 to 6 hour inventory of your home and you have a familiar face, at least from a familiar company, several times a year, like I'm way more comfortable calling somebody because the rapport is there, even if it's not with that specific person or it's a different employee of No Worry Home. Like the rapport is there, right? Like I know what I'm going to get and I know the type of, and value of the person I'm going to get. And it's funny how you said target customer, because how you're like your target customer, because that's exactly what happened with my property management company. To a T.
Exactly.
I wanted to build a company to run my portfolio. So.
Exactly. Well, you talk about sort of the trusted folks. So one of the things that we decided to try to do differently with this was to actually have a team of field service technicians who are looking at this as a career and not just something to do temporarily. So our field service technicians are all full-time salaried W-2 employees with full paid healthcare and 401k. They're paid really, really well, and they're treated really well. And, this is really, we can talk about it later, but sort of something I learned from my last business, which is overpay and super well treat your employees, and they're going to do the same for your customers. And that's really what you need. So we have folks who are available all the time. We're not using contractors. You're going to get Fix It Frank at your house, Dave, every single time, whether it's for one of your regular 4 times a year visits or it's for some in between additional handyman service that you need. And Frank's going to have access to all of your records. He's going to know your house. And before each visit, our chief operating officer, who happens to be my oldest son, actually meets with the technicians every night, and they go through the list. And so they'll say, gee, we're going to see Dave tomorrow. Dave's dog is named Fido and his access code is this. Last time we were there, Dave asked us to look into putting in a Ring doorbell for him and to, replace the stair on his basement steps. Let's make sure we have the materials ready. And so we have all of it pre-ordered in advance and ready to go. And all the cost, and we've got all your filters and your replacement smokes and COs, materials cost of which is all included in our annual membership cost.
It's amazing. And to that point, what I'll say is, like for example, when Mr. Frank showed up, the first thing he said was, "Hey, I'm going to take my shoes off. Where can I put them?" Like, tell me another handyman that's being that aware.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a full-on licensed contractor, but like, tell me another service person where his first concern was, "I don't want to track snow into your hardwood floors." I was like, wow, thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of that, but it was just kind of like there was care there, which you think about after, and it's like, wow, that once again helps to establish trust. And I couldn't say enough good things.
Yeah.
Take us to before No Worry Home. What'd you do for work? What kind of led to the genesis of the company?
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Pretty atypical for someone in this world, probably. I actually used to be a lawyer, worked at big law firms and then in-house at software companies. And all the way through, though, I kept thinking better way, like there's a better way. This thing is broken. The legal industry hasn't been disrupted since, people were wearing wigs. It just was a long time coming. And I looked at sort of both sides of it. I looked at the customers and think they're overpaying for inadequate service. And on the delivery side, you've got all these super unhappy lawyers who are, fighting traffic to commute into downtown to go do their job. And I could marry that up. So we created this business called Outside GC, which was a fractional legal general counsel business back in '02. And we started out 100% work from home, which no one was really doing at the time. So I get all these, unhappy lawyers who don't want to commute in, all of a sudden super excited to be able to work from home, doing their work. And we were offering to customers, 20-year super experienced general counsel on a fractional basis, pay only for what you use at about a quarter of the price of what the law firms were charging. So match made in heaven in that regard. The hard part was nobody knew what that was. And for a couple of years, just like this current business, people didn't know to look for it. And so we had to go actively find our customers who were the right fit. Similar with No Worry Home, like I said before, I think people think about remediation as opposed to preventing. And so just again, I believe in a couple of years, everybody's going to know about preventive maintenance, but right now people aren't really thinking about it. So that was Outside GC. We started out in '02, just me and my business partner, Bill. We ran it for 20 years, expanded from Boston to New York, DC, LA, San Francisco, became the largest law firm in the country of that type. And in 2021, we sold to a private equity firm that was super excited about getting started in legal services, which is now becoming more of a thing. And all of a sudden, one day I found myself being, CEO to unemployed and nothing to do. So I took up pickleball and played a lot of that, got really good, not enough to go on the pro circuit, and started getting a little bored. And I think I'm just an entrepreneur at heart and like working. And I was thinking, gee, what's another service? Like, I feel like I knew how to grow and scale and professionalize a services business nationwide. What else hasn't really changed? I'm thinking inside the home. And, what's a problem I've got? Well, I just hate taking care of my house. I hate when stuff goes wrong and I'm away, either traveling or like now down in Florida for a couple of months, and, nobody's watching the store, and I got to figure out a solution for this. And there really isn't a good answer. So No Worry Home was born, and we spent a lot of time sort of noodling on what the right option is. We did a lot of product market fit analysis, and ultimately sort of came to where we are now, which is really a wide range of different options for people to choose from, depending on the size of their home, how often they want us to come, and what additional services they want. And we've sort of got a menu of choices, ranging from $895 for the year up to maybe $2,600, depending on the size and how often you want us to come. So fits every budget, sort of every need. And then we added in the handyman piece in between, as well as on every visit, which is really important. And then we've also added the home watch. So we've got a lot of customers who are not in their homes. They want us to visit periodically. We just charge them on a per visit basis. The other day we had a homeowner customer in Rhode Island who's down in Florida. We went to just do a regular homeowner visit, home watch visit. Turned out his heat had stopped working. The house was freezing. It was, below 20 degrees in New England. And we had our technician there, stayed there, fixed it, got it resolved. Never would have seen that. Pipes could have burst. It could have been a complete unmitigated disaster. And because we were doing the home watch, we were able to solve that problem for him.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was the background. I think, at the end of the day, I believe that, entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs. And, if you figure out a way to be really sort of hyper customer focused and treat your employees really, really well, you're going to be doing a better job than the other people in the market, and your customers are going to recognize it. And you charging them a fair price, your business is going to grow.
Totally agree. Yeah, one of the things, a story that really stuck with me, it came from a mutual acquaintance you and I have, Alan Marks. So Alan runs Realty Executives Boston West, and somebody that's connected to him, not a family member, but a close friend of his, their daughter and her husband and kids had rented a vacation home, an Airbnb, and there was a fire at the home. And she and one of her kids passed away. The husband and one of the kids lived. And Alan and I were having breakfast together, and that's when No Worry Home came up, and we're like, man, I'm sure that the homeowner obviously has some legal things they're working through now, and obviously I'm sure they're devastated. Families are devastated. And the interesting thing is that stuff, that kind of stuff, it's not a surefire way to avoid it, but you at least have a shot at avoiding crisis like that in the vacation rental industry, where you're taking on a huge responsibility. The home is actually a really dangerous place. And the more amenities we keep putting into homes, because they're exciting to guests, but hot tubs, pools, and a lot more stuff is plugged into outlets now with pinball machines and arcades and like all these things plugged into extension cords and surge protectors, when it really should be an outlet there. Like a million things are happening that can lead to that, right? And as a manager, a massive focus of mine now these days, especially since hearing that, is guest safety, right? Like it's my job to protect both the guests as well as the homeowners, and bringing in a solution like No Worry Home helps me in my charge of keeping everybody protected and saving people money, as we discussed at the beginning of the show.
That's right. Absolutely.
So it's
Yeah, and we've talked about
the
the vacation rental, and that's I think a big use case for what we do. Interestingly, we're finding now that a lot of our customers that are coming in are two working parent families with younger kids who are just busy, and they're both out working all day. With a return to office thing, people are away from their home, and they come back and they've got precious little time to spend with their families, and the last thing they want to be doing is taking care of little things around the house to make it work. And then when something goes wrong because they haven't been taking care of it, it's a disaster. They got to displace the kids and the dog and go find somewhere to stay for a little while. So we're finding people who are in that cohort are jumping in and saying, this is awesome. I can just live in my house and I don't have to think about it. It just works all the time. Kind of like you do when you go on vacation, right? You go, you show up at a rental home or a hotel. You don't think about, gee, did I make sure that, I changed the filter here? Because you're just assuming someone's on it, right? So they're sort of giving them that kind of peace of mind, relaxed feeling in their own homes, because they know that we're on it, taking care of it for them, so they don't have to worry about it.
It's amazing.
I think the other interesting use case is for people that, I hate to say, they just don't know any better. I mean, hundreds of homes have sold on home inspections. A boiler hasn't been serviced in 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And it's not because they didn't have the money. It's they didn't remember, or they didn't know any better, or they just thought it was fine. Or, I mean, we've had boilers that have a, fist-size hole in the side of it from rust and corrosion. And it never came up until somebody looked at it. It would have been a lot cheaper to fix that, 8, 9, 10 years ago. But they just didn't have any idea to look at it. Right. So I think that the $2,000 or whatever it is, if you ever go to sell your home, people get beat up pretty bad on these inspection reports for the little fixes that compound. So it's just such an interesting use case, I think, for a first-time home buyer that just doesn't know any better, or people that aren't handy, or, I mean, I don't even have time to look at this stuff, and I am a contractor on the side. So yeah,
absolutely
interesting.
Well, two things on that. So I'm a multi-time homeowner. I have a 6-year-old house in Brookline. We have a tankless hot water heater, like Dave was talking about. I didn't know that I had a filter for that thing.
Yeah.
And
it needs to get flushed out every year.
It's my house, and they're like, dude, you haven't changed your filter in 6 years. Like, and I was like, what filter? I didn't even know I had it. So yeah, a lot of it is, what don't you know? But then also, like, on the selling the house, Dave was referencing this report that he got from us. So each time we come visit, we issue a 4 to 5 page super detailed report that lists out everything that we identified. We do red, yellow, green for sort of how important it is to fix it, what we did, what we recommend. And by the way, you start accumulating these things multiple years. If you're thinking about selling your house in a couple of years, we're a great option to come and make sure it's right. But also, you're going to have a stack of things you're going to be able to hand to that buyer and say, hey, look at what I've done. I've had a professional team here every quarter making sure everything in my house is done. And here's a list of all the things that we've done. So you've got that peace of mind that comes really deeper than just an inspection. It's actually evidence of taking good care of your house.
It's like the Carfax.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like a Carfax for your house. That's right.
Yeah. And, you know, back to what I was saying earlier, I loved how in it, you know, you have referrals and references for like different things and people you can call for like whatever it might be. Because I think now, like a lot of people are like, hey, I need a plumber, right? They'll go onto their town Facebook group and they'll type in plumber and there'll be 50 of them. That's fine. But like, it can be hard. You know, it's really interesting. We live in this world now where we love choice, but too much choice just leads to indecision, which leads to inaction, and then nothing gets done. And so just having somebody who is trusted right there that you can call and boom, go get it fixed, get it done. It'll be re-inspected at the next quarter. We signed up for the more robust like quarterly because I'm like, you know what? It's a 2,900 square foot house. I want eyes on things. I'm one of those people with 2 little kids, and I'm also one of those people that doesn't really want to learn all the stuff in the house. I got enough that I'm learning in my business. I'm good. So, you know, Frank just gives me a quick 2-second rundown and like does his thing. And my son likes watching him go too, and is really interested in what he's working on. So, yeah, I totally agree. And I also think, you know, as it relates to right now, like Massachusetts and Cape Cod, right? Like we have these homes that are sitting empty pretty much from end of October, at least until usually early middle of April.
Yeah.
And anything can go, right? Like it does get kind of cold in the Cape. We've had cold snaps in the Cape. And I like 2 years ago, I had new flooring put down in the Cape house. And then our kitchen sink, one of the water lines that hits an exterior wall burst, whole house flooded. Thankfully, somehow it was caught by my neighbor. Like it must have been the day it happened. And it was because my neighbor was a contractor, had his water turned off and needed water to do some tiling, and went into my house and was like, yo, we have an issue. And thankfully the fix of it was only a few hundred. It was caught in there. We got that could have lasted for weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, and now we have like a shut off in there, so that won't happen again. But once again, it shouldn't be. It's fine if a home is out of sight, out of mind for the homeowner, but it's nice when it's not out of sight, out of mind, like all the time. And that's where No Worry Home also comes in.
No, that's absolutely right, Dave. And we've got a large customer base on the Cape. And the Cape, I think last winter there were 1,000 homes in you know, the upper and mid Cape that had water pipes burst. And because there is a pretty wide range and it can happen pretty quickly in terms of that. So one of the things we do as part of our visit is we go actually insulate all those pipes that are on exterior walls for our customers, because lots of people didn't do that. And, you know, that's a really important thing to do. So you're 100% right about that.
Now I'm like, shoot, I haven't signed up yet to have you guys at the Cape House. I got to get on that. We'll talk offline after.
You know, one other thing you mentioned about just the trusted advisor, you know, we obviously want to be the trusted advisor, and we are, but we don't do everything, right? We don't do things for which a license is required, and we can make a referral. I believe there hasn't been a customer yet that hasn't needed a referral to somebody. And, you know, my guys have been out in the market doing this for 15, 20 years, built up a reputation. We're sending so much business to all of the plumbers and electricians and carpenters around in all these markets that, you know, we're able to get them to promise to show up and be there for our customers as well, because we're sending them so much business. And so that's just another sort of extension of that trusted referral network, right?
I was going to say, you know, the Facebook group example of there's 50 plumbers. Well, 25 of them only want new construction, and then 15 of them are booked out, and then, you know, 5 won't answer the phone. Having those people that, hey, here's the report, I'm calling, I work with these guys, is so valuable to me. And then also finding people willing to do, small jobs. You're sending them so much work that the average handyman wouldn't just fix your gutter screens, like you said, but you could do that in-house. And then if there's a small plumbing issue, you guys have the team. So I think that's
exactly right.
It's incredible. And you really can't overlook that because it's hard to find help right now.
It is. It's really hard.
Totally. Well, right now, where's like your major service area, and how can our listeners help you grow?
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Well, it's, we're really grateful and appreciative for you guys having me on and supporting our business. We just started in June. We're just coming up on about 100 homeowner customers. So we're really excited about the uptake and the growth and the happiness of our customer community, which is great. So right now we are in Greater Boston, Cape Cod, and Rhode Island. And so, we'll extend west, as far as maybe Worcester area as well. And so that's the initial market that we're in. And the goal is to just really do a spectacularly good job for our customers in that time, in that area, identify what is sort of the replicable model, and then go to the next geography as well. When we've really learned exactly what we need to do to be super successful for our customers in a geography. And then we'll expand to the next one. And we're going to do it ourselves. We're not going to franchise it. We want to keep that quality control like we've had here. So right now we're still in the proving it out stage.
Yeah.
But for anybody who's interested in getting some help with managing their property, we'd love to talk to folks about it and explain about our programs and what they're like and what we can do for them. So I really appreciate that question. I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you guys today.
So let's do some fun plugs. What's the website that folks can go to if they're not watching this but listening to it?
Okay. Yep. So the company is called No Worry Home. And easily enough, the website is noworryhome.com.
Boom. And we will have a link to that right in the show notes for folks, but noworryhome.com. If they want to shoot you an email or whatnot, what would be, or your chief operating officer, what would be like a good email address for folks to fire off an email to?
Yeah, they can certainly come to me, John, Jon, at noworryhome.com. Or if you send something to info@noworryhome.com, John and Bill and Josh will all get it, and one of us will promptly respond.
I love it. I love it. And of course, to our listeners, you can always reach out to Will or I, and we can send you this information as well. We'd be more than happy to. I'm really excited to see where you take this. I think it would be fun, in 6 months to a year to have you on again, because I think people love learning how businesses evolved and how decision-making in businesses and where to go or what to offer, what to do. It's really interesting to people. So it'd be fun to kind of keep tabs on this and get you on for a round 2 at some point.
Would love to do that.
But, I'm personally so grateful for your service because I think it fills an incredible need. And, at least in my world of this short-term rental, mid-term rental property manager, marketing partner, whatever you want to call it, it's like there's a big responsibility to homeowners and guests. And I think No Worry Home slides right in there to help fill that, which is amazing.
Awesome.
Cool. Mr. Will, if somebody wants to buy a short-term rental, how can they find you, my dude? Or just a new home. I know that 50 million wasn't just short-term rentals, but somebody wants to buy or consult with you as it relates to a home. How can they find you?
Yeah, willvanwickler.com, and we'll get you sorted out. We dabble in a little bit of everything in real estate. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. And of course, if you need management or short-term rental consultation, just hit up davemenapace.com. You can reach out to me right from there. And hope everyone has a great day. Hope you enjoyed the listen, and we'll see everyone next week. Take care.
Catch you next week.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Hassle-Free RE. We hope you found today's tips and stories as inspiring and useful as I did. Remember, success in the short-term rental industry is all about learning, adapting, and staying one step ahead. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to leave us a review or comment on your favorite platform. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners like you. Plus, we'd love to hear your thoughts and any topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And follow us at Hassle-Free RE on social media for more tips and updates. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep it hassle-free.